Good evening, people of the internet. How are you? I am currently, as I've said in previous videos, in Torremilinos. It's Friday, I think. It's about, well, don't quote me, but 6:30, 20 to 7. And currently, that is the view I have. As I've said before, there are not bad views in the world, but except you know the story. So today I am going to explain the reason behind this video, and for this matter, before I go into it, I want to point out that these are my opinions, well, mine and my wife's opinions on the place where I'm going to talk about, which is Aqualand Torremolinos. Now, first of all, as I said, these are our opinions, and because of the situation that happened today. Now I'm going to give you some reasons why behind them, and then you can kind of figure the rest out. So the first part is the actual site itself, as it were, is actually a very, very good size. It's got 18, I think it was either 18 or 20 different rides. Now for that kind of, and they're not like just like a small sort of shoot and then that was it. Like you get in like a leisure centre in the UK. These were like the proper big boys. It would take too long. I didn't go around all of them because of a situation that happened. But needless to say, there were about 16 to 18 really big rides and then 2 small ones. The 2 small ones happen to be the kids' things, so that's probably about right. Second of all, it is out in the middle of, not out in the middle of nowhere, but it's kind of like on the outskirts of where we are. So for us to walk there, you're looking maybe an hour each way, or it's because of the route you have to take. It's not just a simple case of walk up the road and then turn a direction and you're there. This one involves having to go along across a couple of main roads, and there are no paths crossing them, so you have to go all the way down to the end of one, back into like a civilized bit to come back on yourself. That's why it takes so long. Or it was a less than 10-minute cab ride, and that cost us about €7 each way. So price wise, from where, but that was obviously from where we are in the Rio Nautilus. I don't know how far it is, so don't ask. The third part is where it kind of goes a bit wrong. Now, I only managed to get on to about 4 rides, and we aren't sure at the moment of me recording this if Spanish kids are on school holiday or not. I know the UK ones, I believe the UK kids are on holiday or about to. I know it's something I'd have to look. You'd have to look, or I'll look it up or whatever. Now, what happened was we went onto the rapids, which effectively is like, if you don't know what that is, it's not like the lazy river type idea. This one, you get into like the rubber donut, you go to the top of a hill, and then you got like sections of like little downhill bits, then you got like a flat, and then it goes around in like a pattern. Now what happened was there's the fast track, and then there's the standard, whatever. And there were 2 routes. Now this wasn't too bad, but what happened was all the standard ones, the lifeguards were just sending people down every couple of seconds. But the problem was the actual kind of flat parts were getting full up. So when I went down, my wife was ahead of me in her own donut. When I went down, I got to the first bit, and I think there was about 5 or 6 in total. They were getting crammed really quickly, and no one could get out into the next part because the actual lip was so high. You had to kind of get out and then kind of turn around and then push yourself off, which wasn't that easy. And some people were in those like double domes, which looks like a number 8, and that was really difficult for them. So what I did was I got out at each one and I was sorting out, and the lifeguards were just watching and just going like this, like they were not interested at all. And it got down to, I think, the 4th one before they realised that I was doing this, and one jumped in and started helping out. And in her defence, she did actually say, "Look, thanks for helping," and that was that. Then we went, and if that was less crammed, it would have been more enjoyable, in my opinion. But after that, they kind of started slowing it down, so it wasn't as busy. So I don't know if they kind of took that on the board. The second one was now this is where the only ride really that we had major problems on, but that wasn't just us; it was everyone who went in. It was kind of like a three-way race, and the end pool was next to the rapids, but it was sectioned off, so it wasn't that much of an issue. But because it was so high up, the lifeguard had like those towers that you get on like beaches, kind of one of those, like the chair thing. And there were 6 queues, and each one had about 25 people in. But they were taking so long to actually get people down. The queues were getting longer and longer, and everyone was getting fed up. Even the fast track people were just being ignored, and they were getting re-fed up because obviously they paid extra. I don't know how much more, if I'm honest. I didn't look at the price list. To not be able to go on, and you could only effectively go on this ride once. But the ride itself was actually very good. So I mean, it has a lot of snakes and sort of snaking around, and then suddenly it goes kind of like that, like bumping. And obviously I've got a busted back, so I have to be careful. But this one didn't actually hurt at all, so I'm quite happy about that. Did not expect the pool to be as deep as it was when I got into it. It's about 1.5-2 meters deep, so as you can imagine, I was kind of like, oh shit. And then we went on, I don't know the names of these, I should point out, so that's why I'm describing them. The third one was either 6 or 8 lanes, I can't remember, and you had what looked like a mat that curved up at the front, and then you did like a race. Now that one I'm not a big fan of, but this one, because being tall, it splashes up in my face and I can't see what I'm doing, so I don't really experience the full ride. This one, I don't know what the difference was, but this one worked better, so I really enjoyed this one, so that one was really good. And then the fourth one, same principle, but it was 4 lanes, and what you had to do was, you didn't have a mat on this one, you went down on your back with your arms crossed and your feet crossed like that. Or you could sit up and do it, but we did find a few people who were doing it, and this was actually really funny, were spinning round as they were doing it, but out of no fault of their own. But there was one girl who went down about 3 or 4 people before us, and there's a bar you have to hold on to before you kind of launch yourself, and her hands were wet, so when she sat down, you have to hold this bar. But she did it, she slipped, because like I said, her hands wet, and she went down, but she went down, instead of going down like that, so her head's up here, she kind of went like this the whole way down, and there's like a plastic bumper, like on bowling lanes, and she really kept hitting herself, like the side of her head on it, because obviously she was going so fast. And she was fine, but obviously it hurt her head and everything. But yeah, the lifeguard checked her over and said no, she's fine. She said she was okay. Now afterwards, we tried to go and get food, and we found out that you can't use prepaid credit cards. So things like the ones we got ours from the post office, and we found out we couldn't use them in any of the restaurants. And at one point we bought lunch, and it was about 20 quid, and we were trying to pay for it in every single way possible, and it just wouldn't work. However, if you're using things like MasterCards, credit cards, you're perfectly fine. So that's my first bit of advice. Weirdly enough, we used it to buy our locker, and it worked perfectly fine, so we don't quite know what was going on there. Makes no sense. And it kind of got to about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and we were like, well, we're a bit fed up with this now, because we'd had a bit of an argument, and it's all sorted now. But we had no money to get back. Now, luckily, the taxi ranks around here you can pay by card in the cab rather than paying beforehand. So that was kind of a godsend, and that worked perfectly fine. So that's kind of it. I'm not going to boycott the water park. It was still pretty good. It was just those two little things that kind of really ballsed it up. So if you are planning on going to that park, make sure you take a credit card or take actual cash with you. The cheapest thing out in the park itself was a bottle of water, and that was €3.50. Basic food was about €7-8 per person. And then I think you can get like a full-size pizza, that was 13, and then it just got more and more expensive. So the other beauty of it is you can actually take food in with you, whereas some water parks will actually stop you. So a lot of people were doing that, and you could hire lockers for a £5. They're not very big, I will give it that. They're about say about 30 by 30, and then about 50 centimeters deep, so they're not very big. You need one per person. We only got away with it because we didn't have that much with us. Like I said, I'm not going to boycott the park. It was still pretty good. It was just a situation that we happened to be in that screwed it up. So that was about it, really. So we're going to go off and have dinner and go for a walk into Torremilinos. So I'm going to video that and I'll get back to you. See you later. Oh, it's 35 degrees out here, hence the reason why I'm not wearing a t-shirt. But I am dressed. I know someone's going to write in the comments, oh, you didn't need to fucking show us. But too late, I already have. Okay? I'll see you later. Bye.